Dan Raising Cane telling Iran it would be a very bad idea if it retaliated. Iran kind of, sort of retaliated. What does Olivia Beavers think? She joins me. Wall Street Journal's own Olivia Beavers. Olivia, do we think Iran retaliated, or did Iran put on a puppet show?
I think the idea is that they need to have some show of force for their followers back in Iran. I think the question is, do they keep taking it to the next level? Are they going to keep going to try to, do some form of retaliation? They're in a weak position. They do not hold the strong cards. That doesn't mean that they don't try, but at the moment, Israel and the U.S.'s actions have definitely put them on the back foot.
Yeah, I think that the fact that oil futures are plummeting and the Dow is going up tells me that the Wall Street smarties have decided that Iran's out of this. They're going to take a pounding from Israel for a couple more days, maybe a week, and then it's over. That would be a great result for the world and for Donald Trump. Is that what you hear Congress people speculating is going on?
I mean, I think that they're hoping that the U.S. doesn't get pulled too much further into this, and they hope that Iran is basically neutralized. President Trump seemed to raise the prospect of maybe a regime change. I think that that's something we're trying to suss out. They're just coming back after the House was out last week, so we're going to be kind of sussing out where people are. But in the House, there's a little bit of, I'm sure you've been covering it, the diverging views about whether the president had the ability to go ahead and do the strikes on the different nuclear sites. So we have multiple.
There are two views, Olivia. There's a right view, which is he has the authority. There are only two views. There's the right view, which is he has the authority as commander-in-chief, and then there's every other view, which is wrong. And if anyone says he didn't have the authority, make sure you ask him about Barack Obama in Libya and Bill Clinton and the Balkans, because those were air campaigns that went on a lot longer than 18 hours, right?
Yep. Well, you have Thomas Massie, who is the Republican kind of leading it in the House, and Massie might be putting a target on his back in terms of President Trump and his allies coming after him. So we'll also see how that pans out, too, for those who are
Mr. Massie is now Mr. Massie, Olivia, is now the chairman of the Knucklehead Caucus. He's not a Republican. He's an irritant. He's an outlier. You would no more cite Ilhan Omar as indicative of what the Democrats are going to do as we would cite Massie. I mean, he's not really a Republican. I know he says he's a Republican, but he's not, right? He never votes for anything.
I feel like he's definitely way more libertarian, if we want to put like the classification of where he is on things. And him and Rand Paul tend to be in the same group, same state. But he definitely agrees with the concept that he is on his own. He makes that joke with reporters and myself when I asked him about, him voting by himself on different things that are splitting with the party. And he's kind of has this more sassy attitude about bringing it on, the challenges of Trump coming after him. So we're trying to suss out if he will be able to survive if Trump comes with his full force at him.
But Olivia, I love having you on. I'm never going to talk about Thomas Massie with you again because he's irrelevant. The world is actually tilting on its axis. A major world historical development happened on Friday night, and it's going to take a long time for the world to figure out what happened to Iran and what's going to happen to Iran. I don't care. My audience doesn't care. Nobody cares about Tom Massie. I really think the AP style book should ban reporters from using his name because he's not representative of anything. He's kind of a nut.
Well, I don't think he's a nut, but I think that he is definitely pissed off his party. But we can definitely move on and keep talking about Iran or reconciliation.
Yeah, I want to know, has Speaker Johnson said anything on the record about, no, we're not going to have a vote? Because I think that's what he said off the record.
About the War Powers Acts that are being raised?
Right.
The resolutions?
Right.
Yes, he seems like he is basically going to try to dismiss it. And I know some reporters caught him in the hallway today, and he basically suggested that they're going to try to do away with any other resolution votes that could be coming towards the end of this week.
And then John Thune, as far as I know, has also not indicated any support for a war powers resolution vote. I know that Senator Warner is a fine guy and a smart guy. He's out there doing his partisan thing. But they didn't have a vote, did they? Do you ask all the Democrats who called for a vote about the Obama-Libya campaign and no vote there?
Well, they're just getting back today. They'll be able to get some of the senators and get them on that. But I think what you're also seeing with both Republicans and Democrats, there's sort of this split view. Fetterman is someone who is probably not going to be voting with Schumer and the other Democrats on the Senate resolution. You're probably going to see the same with pro-Israel Democrats in the House. And so it's kind of pulling the party a little bit apart in some interesting, division lines. And so it's probably unlikely that you're going to get a lot of Republicans to join them too. So
now, I think, in the election in the fall, 79% of American Jews voted for Democrats. So their problem in not supporting Israel is a real party problem. They need the 80% of American Jews that voted for them, and they're standing on the ground looking at their shoes, not saying anything, and Chuck Schumer's not saying anything. I don't know how to cover it, but the Republicans really, I don't know anyone other than the aforementioned man who shall not be named again, who's been dogging President Trump. Is there anybody else besides the guy from Kentucky?
yeah, I actually think they're not going as far, but some people who are suggesting that they didn't like the actions would be Warren Davidson of Ohio. Marjorie Taylor Greene has implied that she doesn't think it was the right approach to do. I don't know if she's going to take her criticism further, but there definitely have been some Republicans sort of stepping out and kind of being more in the Massey camp on that side.
Yeah, I saw Congresswoman Taylor Greene say that before the strike. She had not said it since. Mm-hmm. I don't know Mr. Davidson at all. And it doesn't, even then, you're still one vote short of getting the 4 Republicans to desert that you need to do a war powers. I don't even know if they could do a discharge. It doesn't make any sense. 1 minute left, Olivia. When are we going to get back to the Build Back Better bill?
Well, the reconciliation bill, the Senate is still going over a lot of things. The Senate parliamentarian had some rulings on different provisions in the bill that have kind of set them back, and there's a meeting today. So a lot for the Senate to do this week, which they're trying to get it back over to the House. And then there's a lot of kind of disparities between the House and the Senate version that they're going to need to fix. So we're kind of trying to see if they're going to stick around next week when they're supposed to be out in order for them to get this done by the July 4th deadline.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.